Okay, good evening, everyone. So today we are going to discuss the topic of discussion. Does EC branch provide more opportunities than CSE, right? And what are the opportunities available for EC graduates? So electronics and communication engineering, which is shortly known as EC, is one of the demanding branch of engineering in recent times. We are surrounded by electronic gadgets like cell phone, laptop, TV, digital watches, uh, washing machines, which make our daily life very easy and enjoyable, right? So can we think of our life without these gadgets? No, not at all, because we are completely now dependent. We have become dependent on these gadgets, right? So not only this domestic applications, EC is also widely used in space communication, military applications, and most popularly in medical field. So with the usage of and advancement in technologies contributed by ECE, the medical field has advanced a lot. So the patient now, like we can say, the diagnosis as well as the treatment for the patient has become very easy. And like most of the test, or we can say diagnosis, become non-invasive. So ECE doesn't provide only the opportunities toward the hardware side, it also provides the equal opportunity toward the software side. So it is basically a combination of both the hardware and the software. So whenever any student wants to go for a BTech degree, he or she will always have a doubt which branch they should opt. So here I cannot solve all the doubts, but I can highlight a little bit for specifically EC branch. What are the opportunities available if you complete degree in EC? Generally, what doubts students have? Like, what is the scope of EC in futuristic technology? Can an average student get a high paid job? And what are the prerequisites required for the same? What is the scope of getting jobs in government sector, and what are the research opportunities? Can a student get a job in NASA, ISRO work, and is there any top level exam which EC student can write to get a good job? Yes. So I'm going to show here a few glimpses about the opportunities in EC. I'm going to share a brief presentation regarding the same. I hope you can see the slide. So here we are going to show you what are the opportunities available for EC graduates. So we can see here there are different sectors, and basically we can see there are diverse fields. Like first of them is radar technology. So radar means radio detection and ranging. So this technology basically be used to navigate aircrafts. It is also widely used in military and guidance of the missile. So in this radar, like millions of flights are flying every day, and how we are tracking them with the help of radar, right? So this radar technology, everything, designing, manufacturing, communication, we can study everything under EC branch. The next is VLSI. So designing of chips, PCBs, right? Study, simulation, everything we study in EC. Then as we are moving towards the advancement in the technology, we are moving towards the automation, right? So for the automation, there are different devices or specifically sensors, antennas. So they should able to communicate with each other, and they should able to take decision. So this, in that regards, autonomous vehicle is one of the application which comes under EC. Then you have heard a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So machine learning is basically to make the machines more intelligent, so they can able to take means they can able to perform the task well, and they could able to take decision based on their past experiences, right? So the coding part and the communication of the devices we study under EC. Then you might have heard a lot about Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 1, right? So this satellite communication is one of the widest used area which we study under EC. So in satellite communication, designing of the satellites, its manufacturing, then launching of the satellites, and establishing communication from the base station to the satellite which is launched in Earth orbit. Everything we study in satellite communication, and which also comes under EC. So EC with mechanical engineering makes a magical combination, and the application comes out in robotics. Next is 5G. I'm very sure you are well familiar with 5G communication. You have heard a lot about 5G. So I'm very sure everyone use nowadays cell phone, right? So how these technologies are improving? What are the modifications are required in the technology to make it more advanced, right? What are the network protocols, different physical layers, and how the downloading and uploading is speed increasing from 1G to 2G, 3G, and then finally 5G. So everything we study under EC branch. And the last, Internet of Things. I'm quite sure you have heard a lot of times about this Internet of Things nowadays, right? So this Internet of Things is basically a network of physical objects where the sensors, softwares are embedded in these all the devices, so they can able to communicate each other over internet. In simple words, we can say we can access all the devices over internet from any part of the world. So students also have doubt, if they opt easy, what are the chances to get job in core companies? Yeah, so my dear friends, we have a good opportunities in core companies too. So like if any student is interested to go in the software jobs, there are basically two types of job. One is core companies jobs and other is IT job. Okay, so if you are the core companies, we have shown here Qualcomm, Texas, Microchip, Samsung, Honeywell, Adobe, Accenture. So any EC student who is interested to secure job in core companies can go for this. Next, how's the career growth for EC graduate? Yeah, so unlike other IT branches, the EC graduate having exponential growth in their career. So we can see the graph as the person become more experienced and more skillful, the package is increasing exponentially. So students also used to ask, what are the opportunities of EC branch in government sectors? My dear friends, EC graduate have a huge opportunities in government sectors. So there's a very good news for you. Okay, so the numerous number of government sectors, okay, which we used to say PSU, public sector undertakings. So is one of the PSU, Electronics Corporation of India Limited, which predominantly take EC graduate, then Engineers India Limited, and various other PSUs. If broadly we see these PSUs, these are the Maharatnas. There are 10 Maharatnas, 14 Navratnas, Mini Ratna category 62, and Mini Ratna category 12. So totally you can see there are numerous PSUs where EC graduate can get a job. So students also have doubt. Uh, Students also have doubts. What are the? Uh, is there any exam which, if they qualify, they can directly enter to this PSU or government sectors? Yes, there's very important exam called GATE exam, the Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering. So after clearing this exam, based on the score of the student, they can directly enter into these PSUs. So since this exam is very important, so just I want to show a glimpse of this paper pattern of this exam. So you can see this GATE exam basically of 100 marks, 15 marks general aptitude, and technical questions will be of 85 marks. In that 30 marks mathematics, and 72 the branch you have opted. And this is the weightage for an EC branch, means a different subject in EC branch. So you can see here the electronic devices and circuits having the highest weightage, 60.4%. After that, communications. So our university have a GATE club for this. Okay, so especially our department have this GATE club. So we used to each student, we used to guide them how they can prepare for the GATE exam from first year onwards. So, is there any like opportunity to go for higher studies after clearing GATE exam? Yes, there are numerous opportunities in numerous institutes. We can see. So you can, if any student want to go for MTech or MS, they can select. They can go in IITs. Means they can pursue their MTech or MS in IITs, NITs, triple IITs, central and state universities. So currently there are 23 IITs, 31 NITs, 25 triple IITs, and many more central and state universities. So you can see you have a huge number of universities where you can secure your PG. There is also option for direct PhD. So if a student is very enthusiastic towards research, okay, and he just want to do things faster, and he's very bright, yeah, you have an option for direct PhD. Means after BTech, you can directly go for PhD. But there are some eligibility criteria, like you should have a CGPA of more than 9 in your graduation. There is also option for integrated PhD, where MTech and PhD, uh, you will get a same degree, means you can get degree within 5 years. So after clearing GATE exam, is there any opportunity to pursue MTech in foreign universities? Yes, there are 4 universities which provide admission for MTech and MS after clearing GATE exam. So there are NUS, NTU, Technical University of Germany, RWTH in Germany. So these are 4 universities where you can go after clearing the GATE exam. Is there any other exam which is also very important to get a job in government sectors? And can a EC graduate get a job? Means we can say officer level rank job, or we can say grade 1 job. Yes, there's very important exam that is called Indian Engineering Services, which is equivalent to Indian Administrative Services. But the uniqueness of this exam that this exam only engineers can write. So and this exam only EC, Triple E, mechanical and civil graduates can write. CSE graduate cannot write. Suppose any CSE student want to write this exam, they have to apply from some other branches, okay, not from CSE. So these are the various sectors where they can get a grade 1 job, okay. So Indian Railway Services, inspection services, defense services, supply, telecom services. So since this exam was also very important, so just glimpse of the paper pattern. If you're suppose any student is interested to become to get a very good job, very attractive job just after 4 years, yes, you can start your preparation from first year onwards. Okay, so this is the paper pattern. So this exam is basically of 1300 marks, and it is basically divided in three stages. Stage one, which is prelim, where this GS, General Science, 100 marks, and Engineering, 150. So this is basically objective type, and the stage two, paper one, paper two, which is subjective type, and third will be the personal interview. So you can see the subjects in paper one and paper two, the basic electronics, basic electrical, network theory, control system, analog and digital communication, electromagnetics. So all these subjects are available in the regular curriculum. So suppose any student go through these subjects, means the faculty is teaching in the regular curriculum. If any student go through means step by step, definitely there's no need of any separate preparation. Yeah, you can practice some questions uh, to gain more confidence, but these subjects are existing in the regular curriculum. So after all these, students also have doubts. Uh, what is the scope of higher studies abroad after graduation? So our department of ECE at SRMAP, we have a club that name is Higher Connect Club, where we always motivate our students to pursue admission in various reputed abroad universities. Okay, we also guide them how to prepare for GRE, TOEFL, IELTS exam. The, we also support financially. Okay, so the suppose any student get admission in the universities in top 10 QS rank universities, our university used to support for one semester fee. If any student get admission for the PG program in the top 11 to 25 QS rank universities, our university provided financial support of 10,000 US dollar. So student also look for the whether they are going to take the admission in any university. Does that university have some foreign collaboration? Means does they have collaboration with abroad universities? Yes, we have collaboration with 7 to 8 universities. So these are the name of the universities: Flinders University, University of Wisconsin Madison, Northeastern Universities, University of California Berkeley. And also we have a twinning program with IIT Chicago. So in these universities, students used to go through semester abroad program. Means they used to go in these universities, complete one semester, and come back. So they used to see their culture and learn new things, and the way of how they study. So they used to collect very good experience, ideas, right? So we have 6 students in our department. They have they have got admission in various reputed abroad universities like King's College of London, New York University, Georgia Tech University, University of Wisconsin Madison. So all these students got admission with attractive scholarship, and especially one of the student, Yoganand, he got admission with full tuition fee waive. Okay, so we are really proud of our students on their achievements. Next is entrepreneurship. So does our university provide any guidance if any student is interested to start their own startup? of their interested in entrepreneurship? Yes. For that, we have a club name is Innovation Design and Entrepreneurship Academy. So the under this club, which is known as IDEA, shortly known as IDEA, uh, this will basically inculcate the culture of innovation, design, entrepreneurship. You will know about what is the healthy competition, where is performance, how to measure the performance at different levels, what are different ideas, goals, how to do marketing, business plans. So many more things uh, you will see under this club. Now, the next question mm, actively student used to ask, how is the placement at SRMAP? So we are proud to say that we have 100% placement in our department, highest package 10 lakhs, and total number of offers we got 77. So what are the companies where student got placed? So there we have listed few companies here where a student got placed: Smart, Vodafone, Helplix, Cognizant, L&T, Infosys, TCS, Primer. So we congratulate our all the students who got job in various companies. Then the next question student used to ask, how is the internship at SRMAP? So from this year onwards, the internship has become internship become mandatory for all the students. So our previous batch students, around 88% student, have completed the internship from various reputed defense means research centers and core companies, industries like DL, BDL, SHR, Sriharikota, Bangalore, this Chipin Tech, Bangalore, BEL, Machilipatnam, DRDO, Android Dev, and etc. So finally, I would like to say the EC is like a combination of multiple fields. Okay, and if we say categorize in two ways, so it is a great combination of both software and hardware. If any students want to learn both of the software and hardware field, means suppose is any student want to design something, right? So he will learn each and everything: circuit designing, modeling, development, synthesis, analysis, synthesis. Then after that, communication. Okay. So after designing, we have to establish with the communication with the other devices. So this is the branch which provide the complete knowledge of hardware and software side. Okay. So I motivate you to be part of this innovative branch of engineering and to contribute the developing technologies and to make this world a better place. Thank you so much. Uh, so I can see a few doubts are there student having. So like some disturbance is going on. Someone have raised. Okay. So yeah. So if anyone having any doubt further, okay, uh, you can approach me through my mail ID. It is given on the website. You can see. Okay. So now the time is running. I would like to invite our faculty, Dr. Anirban Ghosh, to go for the panel discussion. Yeah, Dr. Anirban.
Thank you, Dr. Divya. Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Anirban, Assistant Professor in Electronics and Communication Engineering Department of SRM University, Andhra Pradesh. And I think that was a very resourceful and colorful presentation made by Dr. Divya. Don't you people say that? So, in continuation with all the information that you people got about ECE, it's time that we get to hear from the actual people who went through the entire grind throughout 4 years in the ECE program in SRM University AP and how they felt about it. Uh, what do they think about whether CAC is better or ECE is better, if the decision of opting for ECE was a good one or not? So, with that, I would like to invite today some of our proud alumni, uh, Manasa, Panchajanya, and Srinivas Murthy. Welcome all of you. Good evening to all of you. How are you guys doing?
Good evening, sir. Fine. What about you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good evening, sir. I'm doing
Good
good.
evening, Srinivas. Good evening, Panchajanya. So let me just introduce these people to you. So, like Dr. Divya pointed out, some of the highest offers that were made to our EC student for 2017 batch was 10 lakhs. And in this panel discussion, we have two of them with the highest offers. And then subsequently, a thing that I would like to point out along with that is the average package that went to the students for 2017 batch was close to around 5.5 to 6. I don't exactly remember the numbers, but that is typically around how it was. And to sweeten up the deal, we had quite a few offers, like for Panchajanya, which is very close to the highest offer that we had. But with that, let me stop blabbering so much. Let us hear from the students. So I will ask all the students, Manasa, Panchajanya, and Srinivas, if they can say a little bit about the job that were offered and a little bit description about the roles. Any one of you can go ahead.
So Panchajanya and Manasa, if you don't mind, I would like to start.
Sure. Carry on.
Yeah, first of all, good evening to everybody whoever attended this meeting, and I would like to congratulate you for choosing SRM to be a university that can guide you for either higher studies or better placement or your career opportunities. Now, redirecting to the question, the first thing I would like to point out is that SRM, unlike most universities, doesn't concentrate on purely on core jobs or IT sector fields. Like any other university would probably be purely focused on, okay, let's get our kids software jobs or maybe some of the core companies. But my college, I'm very proud to say that we've covered almost many sectors in the industry. For example, I got a package from Byju's offering me 10 lakhs per annum. And there are many companies. So what my previous speakers failed to mention was that we had opportunities that involved software side jobs, core companies, but we also had an access to choose a career from business, sales. Some of you have just read through the question and answer box. Some of you have said which is like the best, branch to make apps and stuff like that. So we've had had companies who makes these phone applications directly recruit us from the university itself in like starting from third year itself. So starting about my job, well, I'm not more into an EC guy. So because of the options I had with SRM, I had to choose a business or like a sales side initiative. So obviously, offer presented itself when Byju's started its recruitment drive in SRM AP. So I applied and I've got it. Right now I am getting a internship of 25,000 per month, and my salary is like 10 lakhs per annum. And I would be on board with the Byju's once after the pandemic ends. Right now, I'm just doing my internship.
All right. Anybody else wants to go ahead? Manasa, Panchajanya.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. So the offer which I got was from Lido, and it's also a 10 lakh package. Though I rejected the offer, let me just explain the process which I went through. So first I had an aptitude test, which is mostly about aptitude, logical, verbal, and stuff. And later on, it was a group discussion. And in that group discussion, there was only one question which they asked: just differentiate between an entrepreneur and a person who just want to do job. So after that, out of 64 or 65 students, they actually find like 5 students in which I was a person. And then it was a PI session. And then after the PI session, I got the offer letter. And though it was like internship-based placement, during the internship period, we will be getting a stipend of 6 lakhs. And after, like, if we fulfill the requirements and if we excel in our internship, then we would be getting a final offer letter. And for that, we would be having like 10 lakhs package. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So good evening, everyone. So my name is Panchanya and I got placed in TCS. I got a digital offer, which is 7 lakhs LPA. The procedure is very common around any service companies, such as we'll have an aptitude test, we'll have a coding round, and then we'll have a direct face-on-face interview with the panel, and then you'll get an offer letter. The process is pretty simple, and actually what helped me to get placed in a service company of 7 lakhs package, which usually gets 3.5. Mass recruiters, they recruit for 3.5 lakh package, and I was fortunate enough to get a 7 lakhs package. I was very happy that I got, because of the universities preparation for that kind of they trained us in aptitude, which actually helped me to get an edge. Even most of the engineering graduate students will be good at coding. All of them will be at the same level. You and your friends will be the same level, but the level of aptitude, it can take you one step ahead of the rest of us. It helps us to gain that sweet spot which you can get placed. So I think aptitude has helped me very much. Coding, you will get enough training around the 4 years, which you are, even irrespective of the branch you take at SRM, you will get the training, you will get trained for the placements, and it will all be helpful. That's how I got into TCS.
All right. So let me take a cue from what Panchajani has said. So a general perception is that nowadays, to crack a good pay package or to crack a good offer, you need to be very proficient in your coding skills. So how do people think the curriculum that we have for EC department in SRM maybe help you people in preparing for your jobs? Yeah, Srinivas, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't think I don't think the standard of or the depth of coding or the number of languages that were, introduced to us weren't that much different, or, the number wasn't that big compared to the CSE guys. For example, when I just completed my first semester, I was introduced to Python programming, which the university followed universally. So all branches, including mechanical, by the way, every branch were dealt with Python programming, and we had like 6 months leisure time to, get introduced to coding, because I was someone who had no coding experience. Like some of you might be starting to learn something during your +2 break or something, but I was someone who had no prior background to coding. I didn't even know the languages names also. But when I first started, I got introduced to Python, and believe me, once you actually have the access to such materials, for example, so when I first started my coding, the first great access I would like to mention was to the website that's called edX Edge. I don't know how many of you know it, but MIT is a very great university. It's very well renowned for its quality of education as well as the resources that they provide. And we got a direct access to their platform to complete the course that we were simultaneously learning from our professors during live sessions. So on one hand, we were dealt with coding. So by the way, I don't know how stereotypical are you guys about classes from other universities, but in SRM, learning is always hand in hand. Like you get theory, you get practical. For example, if it's a 50-minute class, you probably get like a theory 30 minutes, and 20 minutes you'll be getting hands-on experience with your laptops inside the classroom itself. And then when you have your own time, you can refer to the materials such as, like I mentioned, the first the edX Edge platform, as well as the vast libraries that you would be provided once you enroll into the course. Anyways, the point is, it's not that hard to easily grasp the language compared to the CSE guy. The normal fear for any EC guy would be, well, I may have a chance at coding, but if I take ECE, I will not be successful as I cannot become a software engineer. Don't be in that dilemma, because it's not much of a different course that you're offered compared to the CSE guys. Maybe in 3rd or 4th year, maybe one language will be more for the CSE guys. That's all. and then coming to the second year, obviously C++, like everybody has it. Come on. So same again, whole college followed C++. And the better part of following the same course is that I had more interaction with the other branch classmates as well relating to the coding. So you are not restricted to communicate and integrate with people about any of your doubts. Yes, I see someone saying JavaScript. Yeah, that would be dealt later for the CSE people. Anyways, in third year, there is an extra plus for EC students that is not included in the CSE, which is which is MATLAB training. So basically, our professors gave us free activated accounts for licenses for MATLAB 2018, and we started to learn MATLAB also, which I think it's a plus compared to the CSE guys. And then we had I already covered Python, C++, and basically we were dealt some Java as well during the training session, and then the pandemic hit. But the point is, you will not be thrown away or kept aside in terms of training for placements in software companies or giving you a hands-on education on coding or the depth of information that would be given to you. So yeah, I think it's very similar. So either you choose CSE or ECE, almost everything would be identical and same. Like the only difference is maybe later on in the, like I said, fourth year, you may have one or two languages more, but I think that's it.
All right. That was quite profound. Okay. So my next connecting question to Manasa and Panchajanya is, so whatever be the curriculum, we cannot definitely say that we are as skilled coders as the CSE people. So there would always be a gap. But then do you people think that the trainings that was provided by the CRCS department helped in bridging that gap? What do you people think of that?
Yeah, definitely, sir. I mean, it actually helped. I mean, the training sessions were actually scheduled for, they divide from CSE and ECE. So they were actually scheduled to bridge a gap between what were learned between the ECE and ECE. I think over CSE guys, I think ECE guys are an edge in attending to the core companies, their core knowledge. I think they have an edge compared to the CSE guys so most of the CSE things were actually, self-taught, right? You just need a computer in order to, learn any coding, or you can enroll any course. But if coming to the ECE core subjects, you need some equipment which is costly, and something you need some hands-on experience which you get with trained professors. Experienced professors who teaches you inside the lab, and with all the technicalities that you got, with all the research he has done, I think it provides an edge for the ECE students in order to get in core knowledge. For the course of the 4 years on the final year, he can actually determine his path. He can go with an ECE a bit, or he can fuse the ECE knowledge and the CSE knowledge that he has gained over the 4 years, and to decide a path for himself. I think it's good. Right.
Okay, so I think we have made it pretty clear that the way things are operated over here in SRMAP, ECE students, at least for the software companies, has equal opportunities, if not more, like the CSE people. So Manasa, would you like to say what extra opportunities does an ECE student have compared to a CSE student?
Yes, not only the CRCS department provided with us the coding training, they also provided us with the domain training. They actually brought the faculty from time. So it was like a friendly interaction. They even, CRCS department has suspended our classes so that we focus main on a domain training. And also during the training period, it was like a to and fro training. And at times they even suspended our mid-2 exams so that we can focus on our trainings and success and excel in our achieving your job roles.
All right. So I see the coding training, the coding practice, the domain training, everything is covered either in the curriculum or as part of the placement training. How about aptitude? Because I feel that plays a very important role in placement. So how do you think that was taken care of by the department, the CRCS, or your curriculum? Any one of them?
Yes, sir. Aptitude plays a major role, rather it being like coding companies or like your domain training. So aptitude, it was in our curriculum, plus they used to give us extra training sessions. So they used to, offline, they used to keep us at the 4 o'clock or something between inconvenient time. And as during the pandemic time, they gave us online sessions. As it was online, it was very interactive sessions. So the faculty used to continuously communicate with us. They used to ask us where we are facing doubts. They used to actually solve each and every minute doubts which we were asked. And it was what we say. It was very helpful though, without those aptitude, without those reasoning, logical abilities, we can't even pass any company-based exams. So that plays a major role, and college has took great initiative for us to provide such trainings in that.
All right. Okay, so I think we have now set the platform for the big question that everybody is waiting for. So can ECE provide more opportunities than CSE? You people have gone through all these 4 years. You have gone through your placements, you have gone through your exams, you have done it all. You have graduated, you people are professionals now. So having a hands-on experience on ECE, what do you people think? Can ECE provide more opportunities than CSE?
Can I go?
Yes, please go, please.
Yeah, I think, okay, so the answer to the much awaited question is yes. I personally feel like ECE has more edge over CSE just in terms of opportunities though, because, okay, I've divided this into 4 factors. One, switching. You can easily get a job either in electronic side or, software side. You have the chance to switch between the type of role that you would want to take in your career. So you have that option. Number 2 is that, well, this was already discussed, government jobs. Most of the government jobs in central railway system, etc., in telecommunications, ECE graduates have a higher chance in getting that, and those jobs provide safety, financial stability. You don't have to work your you don't have to work too much for the meager payment that your software or IT companies give you. You know what I'm saying? So in the long run, ECE has a better advantage over CSE just in terms of opportunities and financial stability. And apart from these two, I think anybody who studied in SRM got access to opportunities like I've already discussed, sales. You have a business management, and like some of my friends got hired as trainers. You could sort of get into, for example, Smart is a company that offers training and training opportunities and course materials and stuff like that to many people. Some of my friends got selected in that company called Smart, which it's an educational platform. Anyways, the point is you have plenty of options with choosing ECE as your core program. Although when you select the course, you should purely keep in the number of opportunities you get, but you have to select what's right for you. But rhetorically speaking, like, yes, ECE has way more edge over CSE just in terms of job opportunities.
All right. I would also like to hear from Manasa and Panchajani on this, since this is the big one. Any one of you?
Yes, sir. So basically, compared to ECE and CSE, like as my friend Srinivas already told, like if we take ECE, we have chances to jump from software to electrical or electrical to software. So both ways. So it depends on our interest, what we intake. If you take ECE and if you are into coding, you can actually go towards coding. And if you take ECE and you want to work with sensors, your microprocessors, you can always come back and go to your electrical side jobs and stuff. So a CSE person can't come back and see like if I can do electrical stuff, because they won't be having that much knowledge. But we would be having the knowledge which CSE would already be having, and the trainings also which we got. So they used to always connect the gaps between CSE and ECE. So that was the main advantage which we got studying in SRM University.
All right, Panchajani, anything to add?
Yes, sir. To add, first of all, whether it is CSE or ECE, it particularly depends on the student's interest, what they want to select. But there are a few set of students like me when I was 4 years back were in a dilemma or to select ECE or CSE, who has interest in both. They can blindly go for ECE and pursue their 4 years, and they can get the knowledge what a CSE student get and an ECE student can get at SRM University, and they have ample opportunities provided by the management and everything. They can self-run. They have access to all the professors and who can guide them. And at the end of the 4 years, he can choose whatever the path he is more interested or inclined to, and he can get into that. And he can switch if he wants to in any path. Yeah, I mean, in the course of his professional journey, he has his ability. I mean, he has gained experience along the 4 years. So choosing ECE is not at all. I mean, he's not going to lose anything from not choosing CSE. I mean, those who are in for dilemma. That's what I have to say. That's all I'm saying.
Great, great. So to sum all these things up, as you people heard from them, from a person like Panchania who was in a dilemma where 4 years back whether to go for EC to CSC, and then to Manas and Srinivas who have clearly pointed out that there are advantages of EC. At the end of the day, I feel as a professor from the EC department, first of all, it depends on the interest of the student. But then if you're in a dilemma and you're not having any clear thoughts about it, I would say, and like my students said, the clear idea should be to give yourself as much opportunity as possible. If you want to do a coding job, if you love your coding, EC is not going to take that away from you. The only thing that it is going to add to that is you will have opportunities on top of coding. If at some point of time you feel like building things makes you more happier than just coding for something, it will help. So we're almost towards the end of the discussion, but I think this discussion wouldn't be complete without knowing your experience over the 4 years here at SRMAP. So any one of you, please go ahead and share how your experience have been as part of the proud alumni part of the maiden batch of SRMAP.
It was great being part of SRMAP. Means we were the first batch. Means to start with the SRMAP. I mean, we were at the SRMAP when it was a skeleton. Actually, the main building we had was just a skeleton, and it just kept on growing from the past 4 years, and we explored new things. So every new semesters, and there were juniors coming up. They were all exciting opportunities such as Next Step Lab. Next Step Lab, we used to, develop things which provide us to, and explore areas like Internet of Things, AI, blockchains, and we used to research them. And we have, members who actually went to IoT who are has very exposure to these kind of things, and their colleagues used to bring on some from webinars, and we can interact with them and exchange knowledge and gain knowledge. Actually, university also provided a lot of funds. I went to IIT Roorkee for a tech fest, and we performed there. And we got first in those competitions, and we had a lot of fests here. When you used to, it's all diversified in SRM University. You can try out in anything. And as Srinivas said, we have edX Edge. We used to have courses from MIT courses, and we can. It's all about end of the day gaining knowledge, and which helps you to, in your professional life and personal life, getting a lot of memories, gathering a lot of memories, and discuss these like these in instances like this and sharing them with others. It was actually a great journey for all the 4 years.
Great. So, Manas, Srinivas, any one of you. So, you people have actually seen the university starting from 2 buildings where the labs were inside one building, and then to a place where now the university has a separate building for all its research labs as well as the academic labs. So, how do you feel about it? Are you proud to be a part of this entire journey that you have experienced over the 4 years?
Yes, definitely. I'm very proud. But the part which I feel missed is that only we enjoyed the 2 years. And 2 years we actually had to come home for this COVID. But I actually love to go back to college once again and experience all over it once again. Not only the college, but also the time spent with the faculty, the lab in charges, our hostel wardens, the mess. So it's like a friendly environment over there. It actually feels like a home. It actually feels like a second home staying over there. As myself, I'm a hostler, so I continuously, if you're a hostel, you know what hostel life is rather than being a day scholar. And so it's like all the fun moments together. It's, as I already said, it's like a second home, a second family. And binding them only through virtual sessions rather than meeting them in person, it's a bit sad. We don't even have idea again when we'd be meeting or where we would be meeting and what consequences. And also regarding classes which we enjoy, though online classes were good, but we often enjoyed during our offline classes, interacting with faculties, making fun during class, and theory, practical sessions, having fun in practical labs. making some mismatches and checking whether it works or not. And actually, we used to have fun in your lab too. So it's full of mixed emotions over there. So it's very hard to bid farewell, but yes, we have to move on with life.
Oh, don't worry. Like you said, you have a second home over here, and whenever you find opportunity, we are always open. Really glad to see people come back. So it's just a matter of time before all this pandemic and everything goes away. So
Yeah.
I think we are at the very end. So one final question for Srinivas. What would be your final message to the aspiring students who are still deciding on whether to join EC Department of Israel?
If you ask me personally, I would honestly say, go for it. Don't think back. You're just dragging yourself back. Just go for it. Like when I completed my +2, I always had whatever Panchjanya just said a few minutes ago. I always had the dilemma and I had to choose my I have to take my father's advice. He only told one thing. If you want to pursue a career in coding or in a software side, you can always go back to it. But if you take CSE, you cannot. So you always have to have a backup option, right? With EC, you have that security with you that if somehow in worst case scenario that you don't get accustomed to electronics or stuff like that, you have something to rely on if one thing fails, right? If option A fails, you have option B. So for someone who's not so confident about their approach to coding and all, I think just go for EC, man. The course itself, like many of my friends said, the course itself is very versatile. The university is very diverse. Like you won't be too much focused on studying alone, unlike many other universities. Like you have so many extracurricular stuff to help you get through the courses and all that, work pressure and tensions. The assignments are given ample amount of time for you to just go in. It's very easy if you just spend a few hours of time every week to score really high in SRM. I myself, I was a scholarship student. I got like a 50% scholarship. I only paid like 1,25,000 rupees for all 4 years, like 125. So I was too paranoid about, oh my God, I have to read this. I have to make sure I have to stay a step or 2 steps ahead of the professor so that I can continue my scholarship. But continuing with the course made me feel like learning is so much fun and easier with the diversity that is and the friendliness offered by the SRM faculty as well as the management, especially in the ECA, I would say, because see, you would have sometimes you would have aptitude classes, you would have fun sessions, you would have behavioral skills, you have communication classes as well. Like I still remember my first English class with Professor Priyank Verma. He was our English professor, and our international Professor James West, who was also the English professor. So there were 2 professors assigned at the same time. So all of those classes were actually pretty fun. It felt like I was having fun being in that class rather than I was trying to force myself to sit there to actually learn something. And the management itself is also pretty friendly, I would say. Like I don't think you would find any other university having that amount of friendliness. You could easily approach almost anybody. We used to gang up and suggest our ideas. We used to brainstorm together and just throw our ideas at management. Like we used to always be in that Pro VC's cabin for some other reason, or our professor's cabin, brainstorming our ideas, just giving suggestions. No, I mean, overall, I would like to put an emphasis on what Manasa said. It's friendly. My Panjanya said you have options to choose whatever you like. And my final says that just go for EC. Don't hold yourself back. I mean, you have to start at something, right? To experience, to get through life, just like Manasa said. So start with EC, dude. Start with EC, and you definitely feel all of our words coming together when you experience that what we've talked about the choices that you have in life as your career choices.
Thank you. So,
Dr. Anirban, I just want to emphasize on the one student raised the question whether we should go for EC or CSE. So as Srinivas clearly mentioned, the CSE means the ECA branch have equal opportunities toward the software side and the core jobs, means like a CSE. And what makes difference in EC and CSE is government sector jobs. So EC definitely having more opportunities toward the government side. So as I mentioned in my webinar, means in my talk also, and CSE student cannot write IS exam. EC student can write. If suppose a CSE student want to write this exam, they have to apply through one of the branch, either ECE or EEE, ME or civil engineering, but definitely not computer science engineering. Okay, not CSE. So this is the major, we can say, one of the marking point between CSE and ECE. Definitely, we have equal opportunities in terms of core jobs and IT jobs, and also we have more opportunities towards the government sector jobs in EC. Yeah, okay.
Right. So, all right. So there you had it all from our professors as well as our students who have experienced the whole gamut of the things throughout these 4 years. And I hope by now, by the end of this session, which we are just going to close in a couple of minutes, maybe you probably would have some of your answers cleared, your doubts answered. And with that, I would like to thank all our alumni, Manasa, Anjali, and Srinivas. Thank you very much for joining us today. And like Manasa mentioned, this is your second home, so don't think twice before coming back. Whenever you get an opportunity, we'll be very glad to see you people over here. Please do visit us. So with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Divya if she has any other concluding words. Otherwise, it's a close from my side. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
sir.
I would like to thanks everyone, all the panel members spending their precious time. So we have discussed almost each and every aspect why a student should go for ECE. Okay, so we are not saying anything like CSE is not good. It depends on everyone's interest. If any student is totally passionate about the coding, they might choose CSE. But as most of the panelist members have emphasized, that EC is more diverse, right? If suppose you have plan A, right? So you should not rely only on the plan A. You must have plan B in backup that EC will provide. So now you all are intelligent. You can able to take your decisions. Which branch you should go for. So I would like to thanks all the participant panelists. Thank you so much from my side. So Dr. Anirban, can we stop this session?
I think there are some questions if you would want to take those. So one of the question is from Chaitanya. We can take ECE as a minor, right? If a person takes CSE as their major. So let me just try to address that question. So yes, you can. That is definitely an option. But trust me when I say this, it's much easier doing the other way around. You can take ECE as the major and then CSE as the minor. It's because of the simple reason when you take ECE as the minor, there are a lot of courses that you have to go through in a very rapid manner, just because of the way the minor is designed. And that way, probably you're not going to get the whole experience of studying ECE, or probably the whole thing about the opportunities and everything that we just discussed about. For example, just to cite an example, the government jobs that we are talking about, that would allow only an ECE graduate, not a CSE graduate with the ECE minor. So that would be just an example to answer your question. So as per, once again, it's a personal interest, but as per my opinion, it's always better to go for a ECE major with a CSE minor if you're that interested in coding.
Yeah, so one question is whether there is scholarship for CSE if we get above 95% in 10+2. So Dr. Anirban, do you have any idea about the scholarship?
I think for that they need to join one of the admission e-sales.
Yes,
It's going on every
yes.
day. So they would be better placed to answer that, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, now we don't have any other question.
Yes. I think we can close the session unless
Yeah.
they have any other questions.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining the session and spending your important time with us. Thank you so much.